Bonjour tout le monde. Morning, everyone. What a pleasure to be back in Saskatoon. Glad to be here. Welcomed, as always, by Mayor Charlie Clark, who's been a great advocate for Saskatoon, a great advocate for growing the economy in strong ways. We're always happy to work with you, always happy to benefit folks here and across the province and across the country. Also want to thank John Dorward for welcoming us and the whole team at Vital Metals to talk about what we're doing today. But being here on Treaty 6 territory, I would be remiss not to start with sharing our thoughts about the challenges, the heartbreaking news coming out of Star Blanket First Nation. I spoke with Chief Michael Starr on Friday to express my support, our ongoing support, whether it's financial or with resources, as that community moves through on location of remains, but also of the healing and closure that we know is so important in the aftermath of the horrific residential schools that impacted so many people across the province, across the country. Je veux d'abord dire à quel point je suis ici sur traité 6 en train de réfléchir à la situation extrêmement difficile à laquelle est en train de faire face Star Blanket First Nation. On sait que c'est extrêmement difficile pour la famille, pour les communautés, pour les survivants des écoles résidentielles, des pensionnats autochtones. J'ai parlé au chef Michael Starr il y a quelques jours pour lui réitérer que le gouvernement fédéral va être là pour les appuyer et les accompagner dans ce moment de peine, mais aussi de guérison, on l'espère. The world is changing. We've seen that over the past few years with some very big challenges, whether it was protectionism out of the United States, whether it was the pandemic that massively disrupted supply chains all around the world and continues to cause lingering challenges, or the invasion by Ukraine of Russia. What that has done for a lot of people is realize that we need, of course, efficiency in our supply chains, but we also really need resilience in our supply chains. Russia is no longer a reliable supplier of energy to Europe, and that has caused the European economy to have to shift significantly in some of the essential ingredients that they have for their economic well-being and for their citizens' well-being. Similarly, people are realizing that this extraordinary transformation that's going on in our economy towards electric vehicles, towards more high-tech, advanced solutions on everything we do, is going to require access to critical minerals and rare earth elements that to this point have been dominated by China as a somewhat challenging partner at the best of times. And that's why the world is looking to Canada, because Canada has incredible amounts of the critical minerals and the rare earth elements that the world needs. But on top of just having the elements, we have an incredibly strong workforce, well-educated, ambitious, innovative thinkers. We have reliable supply chains and trade deals with the world, and we have a level of environmental responsibility that is increasingly important to customers around the world. People don't just want to be able to build things. They want to be able to build things and say that they're done with clean steel, clean electricity, clean aluminum, clean critical minerals, done in partnership and with respect with Indigenous peoples. This is the way the world is moving, and fortunately, Canada is extraordinarily well positioned to do just that, particularly here in Saskatoon and Saskatchewan, that is a mining hub. We've seen innovation and leadership on developing the kinds of solutions in a reliable, friendly partner that the world needs, which is causing an awful lot of interest. So what we're seeing here is rare earth elements mined with an Indigenous partnership in the Northwest Territories, shipped down here to Vital Metals in Saskatoon, where the processing and the value is added so that we're able to be a reliable supplier of rare earth elements that are absolutely essential in building the magnets that go into so much of our clean tech and modern technology. These electric vehicle batteries that it's going to be reliant on, the innovative ways of generating clean energy. These are things that Canada has not just the raw materials for, but the extraordinary workers that are going to be able to deliver it. That's what we've been focused on as a government over the past number of years, building up that reliability, building those investments in good jobs for the future that we're starting to see actually land now. This is one of the very first facilities of its kind in North America. We know there's more to come. But the work that heavy metals Vital Metals has been doing here is paving the way for good jobs long into the future for people here in Saskatoon and indeed across the country. That's what's exciting about this moment right now as the world is turning to Canada as a reliable supplier of the products and the resources that are needed. From lithium produced in Quebec and Ontario to potash from Saskatchewan to rare earth elements mined in the far north to critical minerals right across the country. When you add that to Canadian workforces, know-how, Canadian workers, innovation and ambition, a cleaner electricity grid than many places around the world, and more investments to come on that, an environmental responsibility, a partnership with Indigenous peoples. These are the things that create good jobs now and ensure good jobs for communities for decades and generations to come. Yes, the world is changing, but Canadians are ready to lead in that change. And the incredible workers here at Vital Metals and folks like them across the prairies, across the country, are what is giving Canada its competitive edge in the world. I'm on a 3-day tour right now to look at the battery supply chain from A to Z, and the fact is that we're seeing an opportunity for Canada to really step up. And that's what workers and companies like this and leaders like Charlie Clark are seeing and glad to work with the federal government on. I want to highlight the government of Saskatchewan has been a great partner in mining as well. We're doing a lot of innovating things with them. We're going to continue to work together as we ensure good jobs for workers well into the future as the world and the interest in the world in Canada evolves and improves. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici à Saskatoon pour parler de l'opportunité pour les travailleurs et les compagnies ici au Canada d'être les sources de solutions, de ressources, de produits dont le monde a besoin pour le virage vers les véhicules zéro émission, pour le virage vers de meilleures technologies, de l'avant-garde pour s'assurer qu'on est en train de protéger la planète et créer des bons emplois pour les familles à travers le monde. C'est les genres de produits, les genres de solutions que le Canada et surtout les Canadiens peuvent livrer. Alors, je suis très content d'être ici avec le maire Clark. On est très content de tout le travail qu'on est en train de faire avec le gouvernement de la Saskatchewan pour bâtir l'écosystème nécessaire pour être là pour des solutions pour le monde entier. This is an exciting time. To be forward-looking at what the world needs from Canada, and with extraordinary workers like this, with innovative investments like this, with partnerships across orders of government, Canada is extraordinarily well-positioned to succeed in the decades to come. Je suis très content d'être ici avec vous tous aujourd'hui et j'ai bien hâte de prendre vos questions.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Merci, Monsieur le Premier ministre. We have 7 minutes for questions from media. Nous allons prendre les questions des médias pour 7 minutes. We will start with CBC Saskatoon.
This morning, Premier Scott Moe said he was disappointed that you were coming to Saskatchewan to this facility on your tour, but he was not aware of the visit. Why didn't your office provide notice or extend an invite, and what's your reaction to that disappointment?
We've had lots of great opportunities to make announcements with Premier Moe over the years. The government of Saskatchewan is an important partner on many different issues. At the same time, we also know there's work to be done on encouraging the government of Saskatchewan to see the opportunity opportunities that companies and indeed workers are seeing in cleaner jobs, in the opportunities for cleaner energy projects. These are things that we're going to continue to work on, but I'm always happy to work with the government of Saskatchewan to deliver good jobs for workers across Saskatchewan.
So why not invite him?
We were glad to be here today with Mayor Clark, with Vital Metals, and highlighting the great work that's being done here.
Nathaniel Dove, Global News. Today, Ontario announced they're spending nearly $20 million for for-profit clinics for surgeries. If the federal government gives more money to provinces for health care, will you mandate that it be spent in the public system? And do you have a problem with provinces using for-profit clinics for surgeries and other health care?
It is one of the primary responsibilities of the federal government in matters of healthcare delivery to ensure that the Canada Health Act is always respected. That's what we're going to continue to watch across the country as people are responding in different ways to delivering better services to Canadians in healthcare. We know how important it is to continue to invest in our healthcare systems, and I've had some great conversations with a number of premiers, including Premier Ford, and Premier Moe's been working very, very hard as well as part of a small group looking at improving healthcare across the country. And I can say we're all very much on the same page. There is a need for more money. There is a need for more delivery of results for families, whether we're talking about more access to primary care doctors and teams, whether it's quicker access to mental health supports, whether it's reducing the surgery backlog. There are lots of things that we're working on with the provinces, and I look forward to being able to announce positive steps forward in the very near future. Okay. Je pense que c'est très important de se souvenir qu'une des responsabilités fondamentales du gouvernement fédéral, c'est de s'assurer que les règles dans la loi canadienne sur la santé soient respectées. On va toujours veiller à ce que la loi canadienne sur la santé soit respectée. En même temps, on sait à quel point c'est important de livrer à l'intérieur des conditions de la loi canadienne sur la santé, des améliorations dans les systèmes de santé à travers le pays, plus de médecins de famille, moins de temps d'attente pour les services de soins mentaux, moins de temps d'attente pour les chirurgies essentielles, par exemple. On va être là. J'ai eu de très bonnes conversations avec plusieurs des premiers ministres récemment. On va continuer notre travail. On va livrer un meilleur système qui va vraiment livrer pour les Canadiens.
Hello, Mr. Prime Minister. Laura Falanoff, 650 CKOM. First Nations say their treaty rights include using rifles and even some handguns. That they would be violated with the Bill C-21 amendments. Many hunters and farmers, as well in Saskatchewan, also feel like they're being attacked with the amendments. What is your response?
As we've said for a long time, there is no place for assault-style weapons designed to kill as many people as possible, as rapidly as possible, anywhere in this country. We understand and fully respect and will defend people's rights to hunt and fish and protect for farmers who are protecting their properties. But the reality is some guns are too dangerous and shouldn't be anywhere in Canada. And that's what we're moving forward with. We've heard concerns about the way our latest initiative was rolled out. We're working with Canadians across the country with various organizations, groups, to make sure that people understand that we're not going after people's rights to hunt, particularly not Indigenous peoples, but we are ensuring that our communities are as safe as possible moving forward.
Kelly Malone, the Canadian Press. So, following high-profile instances of people committing crimes while out on bail, Premier sent a letter on Friday urging your government to review bail systems. A review has been committed to, but what more needs to be done, and how soon should Canadians expect results?
I think Canadians understand that we need to have a justice system that is effective in keeping people safe and fair. Anytime we make a change to the bail systems, there's challenges around impacts, particularly on Indigenous or minority groups, that we have to make sure we're taking into account. We all want a system that ensures that Canadians are safe in their homes, in their communities, and that's why we're looking very carefully at this proposal from the premiers. We're always going to put the safety of Canadians at top of mind. That's what we've done in the various reforms we brought to the criminal justice system, and that's what we're going to continue to do. We understand there's a real concern out there, and that's why we're working quickly to look at the proposal.
Jonathan Perez, Sask today. Was it discussed how the environmental impact from mining to processing the rare earth metals?
Very much. It was one of the biggest questions I had for John, how it's done every step of the way. What actually is happening in this process is the mine up in the Northwest Territories does an initial processing, but there are no tailings ponds and no significant amounts of waste up at the mine. Much of that is brought down here to Saskatoon. That was chosen partially because there is such a strong ecosystem of supports for the mining industry here. So there are highly professional waste disposal services that are going to be able to ensure that the environmental impacts of this type of mining and the processing of these essential rare earth elements is done in an environmentally responsible way as much as possible, and certainly among the best in the world. There have been real concerns over the years that critical minerals or rare earth elements developed and processed in other parts of the world don't hit the kinds of environmental standards and protection of nature that I think Canadians would expect, but I mean people around the world will expect. So environmental responsibility is top of mind. One of the things that we've consistently heard, whether I'm talking to companies like Volkswagen or big American companies looking to invest in Canada, they want to know that the processes are as green as possible. That means clean energy going in. Canada is already about 80% renewable energy in its mix, so we're very, very good on that. There's still a little more work to do, and we're going to continue to work on that. But knowing that the energy used in these places is green, that the processes are clean, and that the final product is good for consumers, but also good for the planet. I know that's something that is shared by all the workers here in their preoccupations of making sure they're leaving a good world with good jobs for their kids, but also protected environment, and that's where Canada can and will continue to lead. Okay. Nous savons qu'il y a beaucoup de préoccupations par rapport à l'industrie minière à travers le monde et les impacts environnementaux et écologiques. La réalité, c'est que c'est une grande priorité pour le Canada aussi, et on est parmi les leaders dans le monde dans la responsabilité minière par rapport à l'environnement. C'est pour ça, par exemple, que les processus qui sont faits ici sont faits avec de l'attention délibérée sur les conséquences sur l'environnement de tout ce qui est en train de faire, parce que, pas seulement parce que c'est la bonne chose à faire pour les travailleurs, pour les générations futures, mais c'est ce que les clients à travers le monde qui vont acheter ces produits pour les mettre dans leurs batteries, pour faire de l'utilisation de ces produits, ils exigent un niveau de responsabilité qu'on sait qu'on ne voit pas dans bien des places dans le monde. Ici, au Canada, on a l'opportunité de démontrer que l'environnement et une économie florissante peuvent et doivent aller ensemble, et c'est exactement le grand avantage qu'on a ici.
Monsieur Trudeau, bonjour. Geneviève Patterson, Radio-Canada. En plus de nous rappeler l'importance de votre visite ici aujourd'hui, dites-moi, si l'Allemagne autorise la réexportation des chars Léopard 2, est-ce que le Canada va considérer en offrir à l'armée ukrainienne un certain nombre, comme le souhaite Kiev, et si oui, combien?
Depuis les débuts, on a été très clair qu'on est là pour appuyer l'Ukraine dans sa lutte contre l'invasion illégale et horrible de la Russie. On a envoyé énormément de différents types d'armements, y compris des batteries de missiles antiaériens. On est toujours là pour en faire plus. On va regarder toutes les demandes nécessaires. Il y a comme vous dites, il y a des étapes à suivre avant qu'on soit rendu là. Mais on est là pour fournir ce qui est nécessaire pour l'Ukraine de pouvoir battre la Russie.
Last question, dernière question.
There's concerns of a shortage of the minerals needed for especially batteries and other components for electric vehicles. What's being done to ensure regulatory and supply chain certainty for companies looking to bring those type of products to market?
Well, what is going on is not so much a shortage of those critical minerals like lithium and rare earth elements around the world as a domination by certain suppliers, in this case China, of things that are essential not just for our economies but for the future of our economies as well all around the world. And that understanding, following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, following the supply chain disruptions and challenges around China of the past pandemic, has meant that there has been an awakening to allies in Europe and the United States and around the world that Canada can and must be an extraordinarily reliable supplier of high-quality ingredients in the economy of tomorrow. That's why we're here today, to highlight that Canadian workers and Canadian investors have created this opportunity for Canada to be the reliable supplier that the world is going to need as we move towards net zero. So it's not just about buying from a reliable ally. It's about knowing that what happens here, the processes, the extraction and processing of essential ingredients in our economies of the future is happening by workers who get paid well, where health and safety concerns are top of mind, where environmental consequences are thought through and minimized, where partnerships with Indigenous peoples aren't just an add-on at the end, but integrated entirely in our way of doing things. That's something that the world is looking to now, particularly compared with labor practices and environmental consequences of similar plants elsewhere around the world. It's about becoming that reliable supplier the world needs, and Canada has the critical minerals, the rare earth elements needed by the world. What we've been doing over these past couple of years is building up that reliability and that infrastructure in the ecosystem that's going to be able to deliver on the increasing demand for this around the world. Canada is going to be an essential player in the world, and we're not interested in just shipping ore overseas to be processed and value added and turned into batteries. As this plant gets up running, we're hoping to see more and more of the end product from this plant land in a manufacturing plant somewhere else in the country that's assembling batteries. And then those batteries get put into a car that then gets sold here in Canada, and moving up the supply chain, because Canada is incredibly blessed not just to have natural resources that are the envy and necessary for the world, but an incredibly ambitious and skilled and hardworking workforce that is going to ensure that we can get the maximum benefit for all of our communities and for our economy out of what we're doing here. It's a shift. You know, for a number of years, people have been talking about, okay, you know, Canada's got to switch towards the knowledge economy. Yes, we do. But the knowledge economy will always be here in Canada, built on the incredible natural resources we have, the innovation that goes into processing these in responsible ways, in effective, efficient ways that add to the well-being of communities around the world. These are the kinds of things that Canada has an incredible advantage in. And that's where we're going to continue to step up as we increasingly see people around the world looking to the provenance and to the way their products are made and how they're sourced. A few months ago, I made an announcement around a steel plant in Hamilton, where if you look at the global demand for steel, it's pretty much flatlined these past years. But if you look at the global demand for green steel, steel that's produced more environmentally responsibly, it's going through the roof. So where we'd made an investment that was going to land a green steel factory in 2028, I was there a few months ago, they said, no, we're going to do it by 2026. But the biggest impact of that wasn't actually in the head office and the international investors. It was in talking to the steel workers in Hamilton, who said to me, proudly, I'm a second generation, I'm a third generation steelworker here in Hamilton. And because of this announcement you're making today, for cleaner processes, for more environmentally sustainable things, I know there's going to be a 7th and an 8th generation of steelworker in Hamilton. Same thing for mining families and mining companies in Saskatoon and across the prairies and across the north. Because of what we're building in sustainable, responsible ways, in terms of developing the resources that the world is going to need as we move through the 21st century, we're securing good jobs in mining, in heavy industry, in chemical and mechanical processes. This is where we're going to build strong communities for the future. Not just going to happen in office towers in downtown Calgary or Regina or Toronto. It's going to happen in communities across the province, across the country, with good jobs being part of this transformation of Canada into the reliable supplier the world needs for its future. That's why we're excited to be here today. Merci beaucoup tout le monde. Thank you all.